Jai Gurudev, and thank you for joining us today. We are excited to learn more about Bhojnam Vidhi, a sacred eating procedure. Can you begin by explaining the significance of Bhojnam Vidhi, particularly in the context of the Upanayana and Gayatri Diksha? Jai Gurudev, and thank you for having me. Bhojanam Vidhi is a sacred tradition that encompasses the entire approach to eating food, emphasizing gratitude and reverence towards both the food and the divine sources that provide it in the context of Upanayana and Gayatri Diksha. It holds an elevated status because those undergoing Upanayana, usually young Brahmins, are taught to conduct their lives with spiritual awareness. The Gayatri Mantra, which they are initiated into, is the foundation of their prayers and reverence for all elements of life, including food. The Bhojanam Vidhi serves as a spiritual framework not just for sustaining the body but also nourishing the soul. It reinforces the idea that food is not just for physical survival but as a divine offering that we receive with gratitude, respect, and mindfulness. Could you explain the process of Bhojanam Vidhi or Parishchena in detail? I understand it is divided into three parts. Yes, Bhojanam Vidhi is indeed a well structured process divided into three parts: Bhojanam, Pranahuti, and Uttara Bhojanam. Let me walk you through them in detail. Firstly, Abhojanam before eating. This is the initial step before taking the meal. It involves purifying the food and establishing a sacred connection to the meal. The person sits down with the food in front of them, typically served on a leaf or plate with water on the side. The practitioner first takes water in their right hand and chants the Gayatri Mantra Om Bhurbhuva Swaha while circling the water around the food. This chant invokes the divine presence of the sun, the earth, and the heavens. Next, they chant another mantra Satyam Tvarthena Parishchina Chami, meaning I sprinkle this water with righteousness and truth, acknowledging that the food itself is sacred. Then they drink a small sip of water with the mantra Amrita Opasthara Namasi, which translates to let the food be a nectar for the soul. This prayer invokes the divine blessings, allowing the food to nourish the body, mind, and spirit. And the pranahuti, or offering to the divine, this step involves offering the food to God before consuming it. It recognizes that the food is not just for our physical sustenance but also a gift from the divine. Take a small portion of food, typically rice mixed with ghee, using the three auspicious fingers, thumb, middle, and ring fingers, and without chewing. Offer it silently to the divine. The reason for not chewing the food here is symbolic. We are not consuming it for our enjoyment but offering it as a gift. As part of the ritual, six mantras are recited, each dedicated to different life sustaining elements. Om Pranaya Swaha, offering food to the breath or prana, and Op Apanaya Swaha, offering food to the excretion process. Om Vyanaya Swaha, offering food to the circulation system. Om Udanaya Swaha, offering food to the respiratory system. And then Om Samanaya Swaha, offering food to the digestive process. Om Brahmane Swaha, offering food to the soul and the divine. These mantras acknowledge the interconnectedness of food, breath, and life processes, reinforcing the holistic view of health and wellness. Then the Uttara Bhojanam, or after eating, the final step is after the meal has been consumed. It is a way of concluding the ritual and giving thanks. After finishing the meal, take a few drops of water in the right hand and drink half of it while chanting Amrut Opasthara Namasi again. This mantra, when recited after the meal, signifies that the food you have consumed is the nectar of immortality and that you have been nourished with divine blessings. The water is sprinkled around the plate to seal the ritual, reinforcing the sacredness of the meal and seeking blessings for good health and longevity. That's a very beautiful and profound procedure. What role does the Bhojanam Vidhi play in the lives of those practicing it daily? The Bhojanam Vidhi serves as a reminder that food is not merely a material necessity, but a sacred offering that connects us to the divine. By practicing this ritual daily, practitioners acknowledge the divine energy in every morsel they consume and cultivate an attitude of humility and gratitude. This becomes a way of honoring the gifts of nature, the divine, and the energies that sustain life. For those of us who have undergone Upanayana, this ritual is an expression of their ongoing commitment to their spiritual growth. It reinforces mindfulness in all aspects of life, from the physical act of eating to the mental awareness of the sacredness in every action. Additionally, by chanting mantras like the Gayatri and others during Bhojanam Vidhi, one taps into the healing and purifying powers of sound and intention. Can the general public practice Bhojanam Vidhi, or is it specifically for those who have undergone the Upanayam ceremony? The Bhojanam Vidhi or Parishchechana is traditionally practiced by those who have undergone the Upanayam ceremony, particularly because they wear the sacred thread and are initiated into the higher spiritual practices like Gayatri Diksha. However, it is important to note that the essence of Bhojanam Vidhi, gratitude, sanctity, and respect for food, can be embraced by anyone. Many communities, especially in South India, perform a simpler form of this ritual even in public settings as a way to connect with the divine before meals. Though the full procedure, especially the recitation of the mantras, is more meaningful for those who have been initiated, the core idea of honoring food as a divine gift can be practiced by everyone and anyone, regardless of their initiation status. This is why we encourage people to adopt some form of Bhojanam Vidhi in their daily lives, as it cultivates a deeper sense of respect for the blessings we receive. That's wonderful advice. Finally, what message would you like to share with people about a Bhojanam Vidhi and its relevance in today's world? The Bhojanam Vidhi is a timeless tradition that brings us back to the core values of humility, gratitude, and mindfulness in today's fast paced world where meals are often rushed and consumed thoughtlessly. This practice reminds us to slow down, reflect, and be grateful for the sustenance we receive. The food we eat is not just fuel for the body but a blessing, and recognizing that can transform our approach to health, well being, and spirituality. Whether you are a practicing Hindu, a follower of another faith, or simply someone who wants to live a more mindful life, embracing this sacred eating procedure can bring peace and spiritual growth into your daily routine. By honoring food with reverence, we honor the divine presence in our lives. Thank you so much for sharing this insightful knowledge. It's truly inspiring to see how such ancient practices continue to enrich lives today. It was my pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity to share this important aspect of our tradition. May everyone find nourishment not just in food but in spirit and grace. Jai Gurudev. Jai Gurudev, you have shared such a rich understanding of Bhojan Vidhi. As we have discussed, this ritual emphasizes the sanctity of food, but what other benefits can we derive from practicing this ritual consistently? Practicing Bhojanam Vidhi offers numerous benefits beyond just spiritual nourishment. First and foremost, it helps cultivate mindfulness in daily life. In today's world, we often eat in a hurry, distracted by phones, work, or other pressures. By performing Bhojanam Vidhi, we create a moment of focus, consciously choosing to connect with the present moment. This mindfulness fosters a deeper appreciation for the food. We have a relationship with it and the way it nourishes not just the body but also the mind and spirit. From a health perspective, the ritual encourages us to approach food with reverence, which can have a profound impact on our digestion and overall well being. The act of offering the first part of the meal to the divine with gratitude and respect is said to activate positive energies in the bodies. This aligns with the ancient wisdom that eating mindfully with gratitude can improve digestion, assimilation, and overall health. Also, by reciting specific mantras, we are not only invoking the divine but also aligning ourselves with the energy of the universe. The sound vibrations from the mantras have a positive influence on the mind, promoting calmness and reducing stress, which in turn can support better digestion. The food itself, when prepared and consumed with a pure heart, becomes a vessel for spiritual growth. That's very interesting in this modern age with so much technological advancement and the rush of daily life. How can people incorporate these rituals, particularly Bhojanam Vidhi, into their busy schedules? That's a great question. Modern life can certainly seem to make traditional rituals feel out of reach, especially when people are juggling many responsibilities. However, Bhojanam Vidhi doesn't have to be a time consuming ritual. It's about the intention behind the action, not the complexity of the ritual itself. One way to make this more feasible is by simplifying the process. For example, you can still begin your meal by taking a moment to express gratitude, even if you don't perform every detailed step of the ritual. Just saying a simple prayer or mantra before eating can help establish a sense of reverence. The key is to slow down and approach the act of eating with awareness, something that doesn't require a lot of time but can transform your relationship with food. For those who want to delve deeper into the full Bhojanam Vidhi, it can be practiced at home, especially during family meals or on auspicious occasions. Even in a busy lifestyle setting, aside a few minutes to offer a prayer or sprinkle water around the plate is an achievable practice. Additionally, it's an opportunity for families to come together and cultivate a shared sense of spirituality during meals. The power of this rituals is that even when simplified, it brings a sense of calmness, gratitude, and presence into the busy routine of life. It sounds like a beautiful way to bring balance to daily life despite the hustle and bustle of modern lives and times. Another important aspect of this practice is its connection to the environment, isn't it? And how does Bhojanam Vidhi tie with the environmental consciousness? Yes, absolutely. Bhojanam Vidhi isn't just a practice that connects us to the divine, it also ties deeply to our relationship with nature and the environment. The ritual itself reflects our understanding that food is a gift from nature. Even when we perform Bhojanam Vidhi, we acknowledge this interconnection. For instance, by sitting down to eat on a leaf or a plate made of natural materials like banana leaves, we are aligning ourselves with the environment and nature's cycles. The act of using water to purify the food and ourselves is also symbolic of the flow of life, which is intimately connected with the natural elements like water, air, and soil. Each component, food, water, air, fire, plays a crucial role in the cycle of life. And through Bhojanam Vidhi, we are reminded of our responsibility to honor and protect these resources. In a larger sense, this practice teaches us to be mindful of the origins of our food and to respect the earth that sustains it. It encourages sustainable living by fostering gratitude for the resources we consume, which can in turn lead to a more eco conscious lifestyle. People who embrace these rituals often become more aware of the waste they generate and are more likely to choose organic, locally sourced, or eco friendly products. In essence, Bhojanam Vidhi helps us internalize a deeper connection to the planet, making us more aware of the need to preserve and protect the environment for future generations. This is why it is considered a holistic practice, not just one that benefits the individual spiritually, but also one that fosters a sense of collective responsibility for the world around us. That's a powerful perspective. It is heartening to know that such a practice can promote environmental awareness alongside personal spiritual growth. Lastly, could you share with us any insights or experiences from Vedic Dharma Sansthan community on how Bhojanam Vidhi has impacted practitioners' lives? Within the Vedic Dharma Sansthan community, we have witnessed firsthand how the practice of Bhojanam Vidhi transforms people's lives. Many individuals report a profound sense of peace after performing the ritual, as it helps them reconnect with their spiritual core and develop a deep sense of gratitude. This practice fosters a sense of contentment and inner fulfillment, which transcends the material act of eating. For instance, one of our senior members shared how, after consistently practicing Bhojanam Vidhi, they began to experience a heightened sense of mental clarity and well being. They felt more connected to their higher purpose and saw a reduction in stress levels because of the mindfulness aspect that came with the ritual. It's remarkable how this simple practice has the ability to cleanse not just the body but the mind and the spirit. Another interesting observation is how this practice strengthens family bonds. When families come together to perform Bhojanam Vidhi, it becomes a moment of shared spiritual connection where everyone can take a pause from their busy lives and come together in a spirit of gratitude. It becomes a reminder of the importance of community, of eating together, and of sharing the divine blessings that sustain life. Ultimately, Bhojanam Vidhi has a transformative effect. It promotes mindfulness, spiritual growth, health, and even environmental responsibility, all through the simple act of eating. It's a testament to how deeply traditional practices can shape and uplift our modern lives. Thank you so much for such a comprehensive and insightful conversation. It is clear that Bhojanam Vidhi is more than just a ritual, it's a path to a more connected, mindful, and spiritually enriched life. We are truly grateful for your time and wisdom today. It was my pleasure. I hope that everyone, no matter their background or faith, can find value in integrating mindfulness, gratitude, and reverence into their daily meals. May it lead to peace, health, and spiritual growth for all. Thank you for allowing me to share this beautiful tradition with you, Jai Gurudev. Jai Gurudev, the transformative power of Bhojanam Vidhi is truly remarkable. We have discussed its spiritual, environmental, and health benefits. Now, I'm curious, does Bhojanam Vidhi also have any role in fostering a deeper connection between individuals and their cultural heritage? Yes, absolutely. Bhojanam Vidhi is deeply intertwined with cultural heritage, especially within Hindu traditions. For those practicing Bhojanam Vidhi, it is not just about a personal ritual, it's a way to connect with the lineage of spiritual practices that have been passed down through generations. In today's world, where many are disconnected from their ancestral roots due to globalization or urbanization, performing Bhojanam Vidhi serves as a way of preserving and honoring one's cultural identity. The act of chanting specific mantras and following certain procedures around food is rooted in the ancient wisdom of the Vedas and other sacred texts. These practices were originally designed to create harmony between the individual, the community, and the cosmos. By performing Bhojanam Vidhi, practitioners engage with the timeless teachings of our ancestors, which fosters a sense of continuity and connection to a rich cultural legacy. Additionally, when families, especially those with young children, practice Bhojanam Vidhi together, it helps transmit these important cultural values to the next generation. Children learn not just the physical aspects of the ritual, but also the deeper principles of gratitude, respect for nature, and spiritual awareness. This keeps the cultural practices alive in an evolving world. That's such an important point. Bhojanam Vidhi, in a sense, becomes a bridge between the past and the present. It preserves the continuity of tradition while providing us with the practical tools to navigate the challenges of modern life. Another aspect I wanted to ask about is the potential role of Bhojanam Vidhi in fostering a sense of continuity and community, particularly in larger urban settings. Can this practice help build stronger social bonds? Absolutely, Bhojanam Vidhi can play a vital role in fostering community spirit, especially in urban environments where people often live in isolation or are disconnected from their cultural roots. When performed collectively, Bhojanam Vidhi creates a shared spiritual experience that binds people together in a meaningful way. For example, in our community, we often organize group meals where we perform Bhojanam Vidhi as a group before eating. This collective ritual not only creates a sense of belonging, but also establishes a deeper sense of respect for the food we share, whether it's a small family gathering or a larger community event. The shared act of performing this ritual brings people closer together. It provides a common ground where individuals can bond over spiritual practices and cultural traditions, creating a supportive network of like minded individuals in urban centers where people may feel disconnected from nature, family, and community. Bhojanam Vidhi offers a way to reconnect with these foundational aspects of life. It's a reminder that no matter how busy or challenging our lives might be, we can still carve out time to connect with others, honor the sacredness of food, and nourish not just our bodies, but our relationships with those around us. It's heartening to think of how something as simple as a shared meal can have such a profound impact on social cohesion. You mentioned how Bhojanam Vidhi links food to spirituality and health, and but how does it also serve as a tool for mental well-being, especially in today's world where many face stress and anxiety? The connection between Bhojanam Vidhi and mental well being is indeed profound. In today's world, mental health issues like stress, anxiety, and depression are increasingly common, especially with the pressures of modern world. One of the key aspects of Bhojanam Vidhi is the emphasis on mindfulness and gratitude. When we slow down to consciously appreciate the food we eat, to offer a prayer or mantra before and after the meal, we create a moment of calm and presence. This practice allows us to step away from the distractions and worries of daily life, even if just for a few minutes. It's a form of mental relaxation where the mind can be focused on the sacredness of the meal rather than the concerns of the day. The very act of reciting mantras and performing rituals before eating provides a mental shift, taking us from a state of hurriedness or anxiety to one of peaceful contemplation. Additionally, the chanting of specific mantras during Bhojanam Vidhi invokes powerful positive energies. Ancient scriptures emphasize that sound vibrations have the ability to calm the mind and clear the emotional blockages. The mantras, particularly the Gayatri mantra and the Pranahuti mantras, are specifically designed to purify the mind and elevate the consciousness. When repeated with devotion and understanding, these mantras can help release mental tension and promote a sense of inner peace. As a result, Bhojanam Vidhi not only nourishes the body but also helps to restore mental balance and reduce stress. By approaching food with reverence and gratitude, individuals develop a healthier relationship with food and their own emotional well being. It encourages us to eat slowly, appreciate what we have, and approach each meal with mindfulness, transforming eating from a mundane task into a sacred and spiritually enriching experience. It seems like Bhojanam Vidhi is truly a holistic practice impacting physical health, mental well being, and spiritual growth. In closing, are there any final thoughts or advice you would like to offer to those who are curious about starting this practice? My advice to anyone curious about beginning Bhojanam Vidhi is simple. Start with intention. You don't need to know every mantra or follow every ritual perfectly. What matters is the intention behind the act. Begin by offering a simple prayer of gratitude before your meal. Take a moment to acknowledge the divine presence in the food, the hands that prepared it, and the earth that provided it. You can start with just a few minutes of mindfulness before you eat. And as you become more familiar with the practice, you may choose to incorporate more elements of the full Bhojanam Vidhi over time. The beauty of this practice is that it can be adapted to your own life and circumstances, even if you are not in a position to perform the full ritual. A simple gesture of respect and gratitude before meals can make a world of difference in how you experience your food. It's about the spirit of reverence, not perfection. And finally, remember that Bhojanam Vidhi is not just a ritual for those who are spiritually inclined or those who follow a particular tradition. It is a universal practice that can help anyone connect with the essence of life, nature, and the divine. It's a beautiful way to cultivate peace, health, and gratitude in our daily lives. And it is my hope that more people embrace this practice, not just as a ritual, but as a way of life. Thank you once again for your invaluable insights. It is clear that a Vojranam Vidhi has a power to transform not just how we eat, but how we live, think, and connect with the world around us. We appreciate your time and wisdom today. Thank you. It was a pleasure to share the teachings. May everyone who practices Bhojanam Vidhi find peace, good health, and spiritual growth. Jai Gurudev. Jai Gurudev, you have shared such profound insights today, and I can see how Bhojanam Vidhi is much more than a ritual. It's a path to a more mindful and enriched life. I'm curious, how does this practice influence one's daily actions outside or mealtime, or does it extend into other aspects of life? That's a wonderful question. Bhojanam Vidhi, like many spiritual practices, extends far beyond just the act of eating. In fact, it serves as a daily reminder of how we can bring spirituality, mindfulness, and gratitude into every moment of our lives. When we perform Bhojanam Vidhi, we practice the art of being present, of consciously pausing, acknowledging the divine, and appreciating the sustenance we receive. This mindfulness doesn't just stay limited to mealtime, it gradually becomes a way of life. For example, the concept of gratitude that we invoke before eating the meal, acknowledging the food as a divine gift, can also be carried over into our interactions with others. We begin to see a lot of life's offerings, whether it's work, relationships, or even nature, as gifts that deserve our respect and appreciation. This practice cultivates a mindset of gratitude and humility, helping us navigate life with a sense of deeper contentment and peace. Additionally, the mantras chanted during Bhojanam Vidhi are not just words, they are vibrations of energy that align us with the universal flow. Over time, these vibrations help purify the mind and deepen our connection to the divine. When we align ourselves with this sacred rhythm, it influences our actions and decisions in everyday life, making us more compassionate, balanced, and aware. It helps us approach every situation with equanimity, whether we are facing challenges or celebrating moments of joy. In a sense, Bhojanam Vidhi becomes a tool to create a sacred rhythm in all aspects of life. It teaches us to slow down, to be aware, and practice gratitude, which can lead to a greater peace and harmony in our thoughts, speech, and actions. I can see how it's a practice that goes beyond food and becomes a lens through which one views the world. You mentioned that the Bhojanam Vidhi ritual is primarily for those who have undergone the Upanyanam ceremony and wear the sacred thread daily. For those who haven't gone through this rite, can they still appreciate and participate in some part or form of the Bhojanam Vidhi, or is it something that is strictly tied to those who have undergone this initiation? That's an excellent question. I'm glad you brought it up. While the full Bhojanam Vidhi is traditionally meant for those who have undergone the Upanyanam ceremony and wear the sacred thread, the principles and benefits of the practice can be accessible to anyone regardless of their initiation status. The key here is intention. Upanayam ceremony is an important rite of passage in many Hindu traditions, and it signifies a commitment to a spiritual path. However, Bhojanam Vidhi itself is built upon universal principles of gratitude, mindfulness, reverence for nature, and the recognition of food as a divine gift. Anyone, regardless of their spiritual background, can benefit from practicing these principles. For those who have not undergone the Upanayam ceremony, there is no barrier to engaging in the spirit of Bhojanam Vidhi. You can still express gratitude before meals, practice mindfulness while eating, and perhaps even incorporate a simple prayer or mantra to acknowledge the divine presence in your food. Even if one does not follow the traditional practices exactly, the heart of the ritual, gratitude, respect for the environment, and connection to the divine, can still be honored. It's important to remember that Bhojanam Vidhi is not just about the ritual itself, but about cultivating a deeper awareness of a relationship with food and its source. It's about transforming an everyday activity into a spiritual practice, and that is accessible to everyone. I'm glad to hear that the practice is inclusive and that anyone can experience its benefits. Given the increasing global interest in sustainable living and conscious eating, how do you see Bhojanam Vidhi intersecting with the modern movements around organic food, farm to table practices, and environmental consciousness? There is a beautiful synergy between Bhojanam Vidhi and the growing global movement towards sustainable living, organic food, and environmental consciousness. One of the core teachings of Bhojanam Vidhi is that food is sacred. Food is not just fuel, but a divine gift, and it deserves to be treated with reverence. This principle aligns perfectly with the modern movements that emphasize the importance of sourcing food sustainably, mindfully, and with respect for the environment. When we engage in Bhojanam Vidhi, we are encouraged to reflect on the origins of our food. The prayer and the ritual that accompany the meal remind us of the sacredness of the earth that provides it. This sacred connection to food naturally leads to a greater awareness of how our food is grown, harvested, and consumed. In today's world, where industrial farming practices often harm the environment, consuming organic food or food sourced from local sustainable farms can be seen as an extension of this sacred practice. Bhojanam Vidhi promotes the idea that the energy of the food we consume affects our own energy, so it naturally encourages us to make conscious choices about what we eat. Choosing organic, non GMO, and ethically sourced food is a natural expression of this practice. Furthermore, the ritual encourages us to waste less. When we perform Bhojanam Vidhi, we are taught to value food deeply. We recognize that food is not just a resource for our immediate satisfaction, but a gift that sustains life. This mindfulness around food waste can help us become more careful in our consumption habits and reduce the environmental impact of food production. It ties into the principle of ahimsa or nonviolence and the understanding that our actions, whether related to food, water, or the environment, have a ripple effect on the world around us. That's truly insightful. Bhojanam Vidhi then not only promotes a personal well being but also aligns with some of the most important contemporary values like sustainability, conscious living, and environmental stewardship. Before we wrap up, do you have any thoughts on how the practice might evolve in the future, especially as more people embrace spirituality and mindfulness in their lives? I believe that Bhojanam Vidhi will continue to evolve and find relevance in the modern world, especially as more people seek ways to bring spirituality into their everyday lives. As mindfulness and conscious living continue to grow in popularity, I see Bhojanam Vidhi being a natural bridge between traditional practices and contemporary values. We are living in an age where many are rediscovering the importance of slowing down, reflecting, and connecting with nature. Practices like Bhojanam Vidhi, which promote mindfulness, gratitude, and reverence for food, will only become more important. People are increasingly looking for ways to integrate spiritual practices into their busy lives, whether through yoga, meditation, or conscious eating. Bhojanam Vidhi fits perfectly into this movement because it turns something as routine as eating into a spiritually enriching experience. One potential evolution of Bhojanam Vidhi could be its integration with modern wellness practices. For instance, it could become a part of holistic health programs that emphasize mindful eating, digestion, and spiritual well being. It could also be adapted in ways that make it accessible to larger groups, perhaps through community feasts or group meditation sessions focused around gratitude for food and nature. Additionally, as the world becomes more interconnected, there is a growing appreciation for the diversity of spiritual practices. Bhojanam Vidhi, with its universal message of gratitude, respect, and mindfulness, can bridge cultures and become part of a global movement toward mindful eating and sustainable living. It is fascinating to see how the ancient practice of Bhojanam Vidhi could evolve alongside modern movements. Thank you again for your time and the deep wisdom you have shared today. Your insights have truly illuminated the timeless relevance of this sacred practice. It was my honor. I hope that as more people embrace the essence of Bhojanam Vidhi, they'll experience the peace, health, and spiritual connection it offers. May it inspire all of us to live with more mindfulness, gratitude, and reverence in every moment of our lives. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share these teachings, Gurudev. Jai Gurudev, and thank you for your thoughtful reflections on Bhojanam Vidhi and its relevance and um, reflection and its place in both traditional and modern life. I'm curious to dive deeper into how Bhojanam Vidhi can serve as a tool for personal transformation. Do you think that this practice can lead to profound changes in a person's character or attitude toward life? Absolutely. Bhojanam Vidhi is not just a ritual but a transformative practice that can have a profound impact on individuals' character and attitude toward life. As I mentioned earlier, the very essence of Bhojanam Vidhi is to cultivate mindfulness, humility, and gratitude when practiced with intention. It creates a space for personal growth and transformation. The first transformation is in how we perceive food. In many cultures, food is often seen merely as a necessity or pleasure, but in the practice of Bhojanam Vidhi, food becomes sacred. We are taught to recognize that the food before us is not just a source of physical nourishment, but a divine blessing. This shifts the way we interact with food. We learn not to take it for granted, but to respect it, appreciate it, and consume it mindfully. As we regularly practice Bhojanam Vidhi, we also develop a deeper sense of self control. We are reminded to eat with patience and awareness rather than hurriedly consuming food out of stress or habit. The act of sprinkling water, reciting mantras, and offering the food first to the divine teaches us to slow down, pause, and reflect before we act. This practice of mindful eating carries over into other areas of life, helping us develop more awareness in our thoughts, speech, and actions. In terms of personal character, Bhojanam Vidhi cultivates virtues like humility, respect, and gratitude. By acknowledging that food is a gift from the divine, we naturally develop a sense of humility, recognizing that we are part of a much larger ecosystem of life and sustenance. This humility can translate into a greater sense of compassion and kindness towards others. We begin to realize that all forms of life are interconnected and the blessings we receive are not just ours alone but a part of a shared experience. Lastly, Bhojanam Vidhi teaches us the importance of balance. In today's fast paced world, we often forget the need for balance, whether it's in our work, relationships, or health. The act of offering food to the divine before consuming it reminds us that everything has its rightful place and purpose. This can lead to a deeper sense of balance in our own lives, where we can prioritize what truly matters and maintain equilibrium in our actions. That's a very deep and insightful perspective on personal transformation. The practice certainly goes beyond physical nourishment. Given that you have mentioned the significance of offering food to the divine, do you think this act of offering is central to the practice of Bhojana Vidhi? And could it be said that this ritual helps us shift our focus from a mindset of ownership to one of stewardship and surrender? Yes, absolutely. The act of offering food to the divine is at the very core of Bhojanam Vidhi, and it is a crucial shift in mindset that the practice encourages. In the modern world, we often see food as something that we own, something we earn, purchase, and consume as we please. However, through the Bhojanam Vidhi, we are reminded that food, like everything else in life, is a gift from the universe or the divine. It is not ours to possess, but something to be received with reverence and gratitude. The shift from ownership to stewardship is a key in this practice. When we offer the first part of our meal to the divine, we acknowledge that the food is not only for our nourishment, but that it is a part of a larger sacred cycle of giving and receiving. We begin to see ourselves not just as the sole proprietors of our food, but as caretakers of it, entrusted with the responsibility to use it wisely and gratefully. In essence, this practice teaches us the importance of surrender. We surrender our attachment to the idea of ownership and acknowledge that we are part of a larger flow. The food we eat has come from the earth, the sun, the water, and the labor of many hands, and it is sustained by divine forces beyond our comprehension. By offering food before eating, we are surrendering to this larger reality and recognizing that we are not independent but interdependent with all of creation. This essence of surrender fosters humility, allowing us to approach life with greater respect and reverence. This practice also aligns with the concept of prasada, which is sacred food offered to God and then distributed to devotees. Prasada represents both surrender and grace. It is food that has been blessed, and by consuming it, we are receiving blessings. When we treat our daily meals as prasada, we begin to approach them with a deeper sense of reverence and thankfulness, which ultimately shifts our attitude toward life. I love the concept of surrendering and embracing stewardship over ownership. It seems that Bhojanam Vidhi can bring a deep sense of spiritual alignment to every aspect of life. I'm also thinking about how this practice can help balance the pressures of a modern life. For example, with the rise of fast food culture and the ever present rush, how does Bhojanam Vidhi provide a counterbalance to this lifestyle? That's a very relevant question, especially in today's fast paced world. Bhojanam Vidhi serves as a direct counterbalance to the culture of instant gratification and speed that we see so often in modern society. In many ways, the ritual of Bhojanam Vidhi is the antidote to the hustle and bustle, where eating has become just another task on the to do list, often performed on the go and without mindfulness. One of the fundamental teachings of Bhojanam Vidhi is to slow down. Before we begin eating, we pause to offer gratitude, chant mantras, and acknowledge the sacredness of the food. In a world where speed and convenience have taken precedence, this intentional pause can be transformative. By making eating a conscious, mindful experience, Bhojanam Vidhi helps us reconnect with our bodies, our breath, and the food we consume. Rather than mindlessly devouring food while distracted by other tasks, Bhojanam Vidhi also emphasizes the importance of quality over quantity in a culture that often encourages overconsumption and instant satisfaction. This practice reminds us that food is not just about filling our stomachs, but about nourishing our bodies and souls. It encourages us to appreciate the true value of food, and not just in terms of taste or convenience, but in terms of its nutritional and spiritual benefits. By taking time to prepare for the meal, performing the ritual, and eating slowly, we cultivate a sense of mindfulness that can extend into other areas of our lives. It teaches us to be present in the moment, to savor life's offerings, and to live with greater intention. As we become more mindful of how we eat, we also become more mindful of how we live, whether in our home or work or relationships or personal choices. In a sense, Bhojanam Vidhi offers a practice that helps us slow down. In a world that is moving faster than ever before, it reconnects us with the deeper rhythms of life, fostering balance, mindfulness, and spiritual nourishment. It seems like Bhojanam Vidhi is a holistic practice that supports not only physical health but mental clarity and spiritual balance in a world full of distractions. As we wrap up, do you think that more people, especially in urban settings, will begin to see the value of such practices, particularly as part of a conscious lifestyle? Yes, I believe we are seeing a growing recognition of the values of practices like Bhojanam Vidhi, particularly in urban environments where people often struggle with stress, disconnection, and the fast pace of life. More and more people are turning to mindfulness, yoga, meditation, and conscious living as ways to cope with the pressures of modern world. Bhojanam Vidhi fits perfectly into this conscious lifestyle movement because it addresses both the physical and spiritual dimensions of our well being. As awareness grows about the importance of mindful eating, sustainability, and spiritual health, I believe that practices like Bhojanam Vidhi will become more common, even among people who are not traditionally inclined toward religious rituals. This shift will likely come as people realize that true nourishment comes not just from what we eat, but from how we eat and the consciousness we bring to the act of eating. In in cities in cities uh, in uh, cities uh, where the paces of life often disconnects us from our roots, Bhojanam Vidhi can serve as a powerful tool to reconnect with ourselves, our communities, and the natural world. Whether practiced in homes, community centers, or as part of larger wellness retreats, Bhojanam Vidhi has the potential to be a catalyst for greater peace, health, and spiritual awakening in urban settings. Thank you so much for sharing such a rich and inspiring vision. It's clear that Bhojanam Vidhi offers much more than just a ritual, it's a profound part to living more consciously and harmoniously in today's world. We are grateful for your wisdom and gratitude today. It was my honor. May everyone who practices Bhojanam Vidhi experience the peace, balance, and nourishment it offers. May it inspire us all to slow down, be more mindful, and approach life with greater reverence, gratitude, and awareness. Thank you for this wonderful conversation, Jay Gurudev.